It's the week of love.
And I love the week of love.
Nathan's most favorite holiday ever. We're going to talk about how to really be the amazing Valentine all year long and 3 steps for how to do it.
Mama says namaste.
Mama says namaste.
Making a family can be easy and fun.
Oh, yeah, but raising a family can be a whole different story.
From spouses to kids to the crazy daily grind, life often directs us away from connection and more into reactive chaos.
If you're tired of that cycle and are seeking something beyond the picket fence blues, this is the show for you.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Nathan.
And we're here to take you from chaos to clarity by bringing awareness and intention into your home, not waiting for one day, and highlighting how
the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us.
Take a deep breath in and let's start a brand new day. With Mama says namaste.
All right, we had way too many outtakes on the intro there.
And my little snazzy comments that I tried to throw in just don't ever work. And
we just need to have a thing of outtakes for intros.
Yeah, well, no, we don't.
Maybe we don't.
Just need to have
we need to script it better before we start.
I'm not in the room when you set up these things, and then you and I show up blind. And
hey, you know what? Reminder on
down.
that. We have a survey, and this survey I have not shared about in a few weeks. It's just mamasaysnamaste.com/survey, and it would help us so much if you give us feedback. What kind of things would you like to see that maybe we haven't done? Maybe we do need to have a different type of intro and outro, or maybe we need to, I don't know, shake things up a little bit, have some more interviews, maybe bring the kids back in. It's been a while since we've done that.
Podcast naked.
Hey, they don't know if we're doing that or not.
I guess that's true.
We could switch it up all kinds of things as far as that's concerned. Actually, behind the scenes, where do we do our podcast?
Everywhere.
Who do we learn from? Everyone. Okay, that's not where I was going with it.
Dang.
No, we actually record our podcast. Right now, we are recording our podcast in the bedroom of our little fifth wheel. Back in the back corner, standing here with my computer.
Let me tell you something. When you're driving this thing underneath a bridge, it doesn't feel so little.
It doesn't. It feels really big then. But when we are in it, it is very tiny. So, yeah, we've got our mic stands up at the foot of our bed, and we stand here and do our podcasting. So you never know what's behind the scenes with podcasters. Sometimes there's these big, elaborate buildings. I remember my dad talking about when he did his first recording, it was... he did like an audio MP3, and he was locked in a closet of his friend's house,
covered in blankets and
stuff, with mattresses and everything all along the walls to keep it soundproof while all the kids were running and screaming outside his door. So, yes, the behind the scenes of the glamorous, famous lives of people that are maybe on the air or on TV or anything else. We're all just human. So, speaking of all being human, this is the week of love. This is Valentine's week. We're actually recording this on Valentine's Day. Hopefully, I'll actually get my act together and get it out this week.
Which is a testament to how we handle Valentine's.
What?
Actually, I'm prepared
minute.
This year.
Yes, Nathan has been prepared.
Out yesterday.
He was prepared a whole day in advance for Valentine's this year.
Well, it's a terrible situation. Everything practically that they sell you is perishable, and so you have a small. It's not like you can buy a bunch of flowers and stuff it under the bed for a week.
It's true. You can't prepare 6 months ahead of time for flowers for Valentine's.
And so you always have these frantic men that all think that they're the last ones, waiting till the last minute, which is not the case. Everybody has to, because you can't have a dozen roses in your bathroom for a week and keep them secret.
There you go. Maybe next year you just make paper roses or crochet them or do anything where then it's...
Yeah, with all my copious amounts of time. Why? Yeah, okay. So,
all right.
Let's talk about how much I love Valentine's Day. Okay.
I want to add this to what we're going to talk about today, because the deal is this. I was just talking with the girls. Like, there was a time I really had my act together and I really did a lot to celebrate the holidays. And since I've been working and we've been traveling, it just hasn't happened. And once again, here comes another holiday where I'm not prepared. I don't have everything set up. And I take full ownership of that. I'm not going to make excuses. We all have 364 days to prepare for these annual events.
Yeah.
So it's not like I don't have a reason that I can excuse it. And, sometimes we beat ourselves up over the way things should be. And really, the whole point of the holidays, of all of the holidays, really are to celebrate and to be together, to enjoy what we have created as humans in our community. And it's creating things around different culture and community that we've established. And so with that, how do we really celebrate with each other? I think it boils down to 2 words.
What are those 2 words?
Show up.
Ooh, I like that.
Show up. If you want to celebrate the holidays, if you want to celebrate the people in your lives at all times, it simply boils down to that. Show up. Be present. And what does it look like to show up?
You got to be looking at your phone when people are talking or sending out Facebook messages to people that you love across the world while you're with the ones you love.
Right.
No?
That's easy to justify. It's easy to justify our actions because there are a lot of things that we can do with great intentions that, I don't know, yeah, they can give you some warm fuzzies, but oftentimes they can also pull you away from the present moment. When I talk about showing up, it really boils down to there's 3 different levels of how people show up. And that is by looking inward, looking forward, and looking together. And so those are the 3 things that I want to focus on. So when you show up, first and foremost, it's looking inward. It's recognizing the fact that to show up means you have to be able to face who you are.
You have to show up for yourself and treat yourself with some respect and kindness. And give yourself a break. So you did this, that, and the other. That's just the bumpy trail to this excellent place you're at, which is, maybe not what you want, but if you have a direction that you want, then you can start marching in that direction. It's that easy.
You always have a chance to start right now stepping into who you want to be.
Yeah.
And so that's what we talk about with the girls when they are, at each other's throats or something. That's oftentimes simply asking that question, who do you want to be? How do you want people to see you and view you right now?
Yeah.
What are you representing in yourself? And those questions can really challenge them. Okay, well, how do I want to show up? Who am I in this moment? And am I proud of that? Or am I feeling like I need to defend or justify who I'm being because deep down, I need to step it up a little bit? It's taking personal responsibility for who you are. It's owning your past and recognizing it doesn't have to be your future. And it's just being willing to face yourself. And that can be a hard thing to do. So when I say show up, number 1, it's looking inward. You don't show up for other people if you're not willing to show up for yourself. So take the time to give yourself some love and take some responsibility for your actions and how much your actions are aligning with the intentions around who you want to be and how you want to represent in this world.
One of the things that I learned when I was selling real estate is just the importance of taking care of myself, because I could burn myself out just giving, because that was, I did some pretty hardcore sales, and I'm not a salesy guy, but that the way I justified that was that I was helping my client find, what they were looking for. And so in that work, I just realized that in trying to help people, I only had so much of a thermostat, or I only had so much juice to really help people every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I wasn't taking time to recover and be prepared for what I knew would be a crazy day, and I came home fried to my family who had been excited waiting to see me, it was kind of my fault. I kind of saw that as, okay, well, I didn't manage my energy or myself. I didn't take care of myself enough so that I had something to show up in that relationship. And so I learned some tactics and some ways to say no, some ways to refresh myself. But that's really important when you're thinking about showing up for yourself, that it is okay to tend to yourself some, and to have, you don't want to don't overdo it and baby yourself. And
I think we definitely have that as a trend too, where there's so much about self-care and my needs. and finding myself and being whole and being true to who I am, that we stomp all over other people. That's why I say there's 3 parts of showing up. So the first one, is taking into account for yourself. And like you're saying, I mean, make sure that we cannot give from an empty cup. I say that all the time. You can't give from an empty cup. If you really want to be able to show up and represent yourself in the best way and be there for others, you have to give from a full cup. That means you have to take into account, how are you taking care of yourself, your needs, and in healing in your own life and everything else, so that you can.
So you can show up to those relationships that you care about.
And let me also put the caveat there that your cup is never 100% full. It's always being, every day we need water, right? Every day we need a drink from it. So every day things are being taken out of it. So it's not like we're waiting for that one point of wholeness before we can be there for others.
And let me tell you
That's not
something
going to happen.
also about trying to find yourself. Your cells are constantly changing, and so you're changing constantly. And so this is a running animal you're chasing. Just enjoy enjoy yourself
the
for
ride.
now.
Check in for the
know
moment.
that you are perfect the way you are today, and you're going to take what you learned today and the way you showed up fully today, and you're going to take that into tomorrow, and you're going to be a new person with new skills and new knowledge, and that's going to continue to happen. So trying to sit around and drink tea until you figure yourself out and get yourself centered is sometimes not the best way. Sometimes I'll see my girls, they're like, well, I got to do this and this so I can get ready to show up. And sometimes just stepping out into the cold and starting to run is the best way to show up and making yourself go.
That's so true. That kind of goes into our next step then there. So number 1 is looking inward. Number 2 is looking forward. And when we're talking about looking forward in our lives, it's where are we wanting to head? So if we're wanting to create new habits, for example, like what you're talking about, we're doing that right now. We've had yet another time of upheaval where we've been navigating the loss of my father, and it's kind of turned all of our scheduling all over the place, not to mention the fact of taking in new odd jobs that have our schedules all over. And so we've been kind of all over the place, and we're craving routine. And so we recognize that in order to create those new habits, I have to think in advance, and I have to start acting in the way I want to become, even if I'm not fully there. That means that if I really want to, for example, start exercising and stretching, I can talk about it all day long, but until I put it on the calendar and actually make myself do it, even if it's uncomfortable and awkward or inconvenient, that's the only way that it's actually going to start becoming that habit, which, creates that future into your present.
Exactly. I mean, that everyone, you hear every success story on the planet starts with somebody who wasn't quite sure, who just started acting in the direction of their desire. And so that's something to remember, is that, you're not going to show up and nail it and do a home run every single day, but showing up every single day and trying to chip away at the game is, the best way I know how to do it.
And growth is beautiful. So when we say show up by looking forward, part of the joy that I have in my relationship with you, Nathan, is learning from and with you. So first off, you're growing and learning on your own, and then coming back to me, did you know, or have you heard about this, or da-da? And I'm learning from you in that way. And then 2, it's, I want to aspire to get out there and move my body more. Do you want to walk with me every day? And it's going out and doing some things like that. So when I see you looking inward in your own personal development, and I see you looking forward in the things you are excited about, just to make you a better person, just pursuing stuff for you, it inspires me. It motivates me to do the same, because, I don't want him looking all awesome all by himself over there. I want to do it too. I want to do it for you, for me, for the way that that makes me feel and the energy it gives. Yeah. And so looking inward and looking forward, both are definitely more solitary things in some ways, but in other ways, in doing that, we are able to fully show up for the others in our lives, because we're constantly learning and growing and cultivating who we are. So that leads to our third. And then our third is looking together.
good. You pointed to me like I was supposed to know.
There you go. Looking together. What does that mean as far as
mean,
when you talk about showing up? What comes to mind for you when I say looking together?
well, for me, looking together is communicating. Here's kind of my intention and my desire, and I know we're moving in this direction. Here's my action. I mean, you're kind of operating almost like a pack, hunting towards your desire, and you can either communicate what you're doing, or you can just be solo, and people are figuring that on their own just by body language and reaction. And so
I think that's that right there kind of can distinguish between a great companionship or an intimate, loving relationship, where you and I are looking for more than just being roommates. We can completely just be nice to each other and walk through this life together and go about our own aspirations. And we both focus on those first two, looking inward and looking forward. And we can be friendly along the way and just go side by side. But what you're talking about is where the showing up as a couple is really critical, and that's the communication. It's the vulnerability of saying, I am, I'm not feeling the greatest about myself, and I want to do something to make an effort to change that. Or I've recognized I'm holding on to some past things and I'm going to seek help for that. Or it's, I've recognized our relationship has gotten a little stale and I want to move forward with you. And this is what I dream of. But it's having those conversations of sharing life together.
If we're not doing it together, then my response is recoiled. What? You're not enjoying the relationship that I'm giving you now?
Yeah.
What? You don't. So, I mean, do you see just that's the together is we're both like, okay, yeah, I can see how it's getting a little stale. And there's probably some things that I could add to that. So let's talk about that. Let's see what and so I mean that's a different response. And so I think that's the relationship piece that you can kind of get into. That's the delicate part of this third step is you can get into a habit of being the opposite of where you're not working together. You're kind of working in opposites.
You just do your own thing.
You do your own thing, and then you meet together as some of okay, let's muddle through and.
Yeah, looking together is not a once a month opportunity. Let's just go ahead and say that, or just once a holiday.
I mean, we were watching a documentary last night, and one of the things that struck me about one of the things that came up is this gentleman's many relationships and how he would dart when things got basically having to communicate how he felt and what was going on, and that just intrigued me because but it also kind of played into who he was, as he was not somebody who played well with others, but he needed others to play. And so here he was in this,
Well, and what happened is he had some great relationships with friends and with kids, and he was on wife number 6 because the intimacy part of it, it's hard to do that. It's hard to do that if you are so much on your own, playing by your own, playing your own drums, that you don't pay attention or care enough to step in and hear where the other person is at.
To me, it boils down to a fear of rejection, which comes back to have you taken care of yourself, the kind of that first step. Mm-hmm. Do you love yourself? Do you care for yourself? Do you, because if, usually our deepest fears are kind of the way our kind of, I guess our dark side kind of treats us, that whole idea of that what's out is, or what's inside it comes out. And what you see on the inside is how you see the world. If you're a paranoid person, then everybody could be a thief, and you have a lot of insurance, and that's just how you operate. And if you're a full person and you come from a full cup, then whatever, take it. I can get more. I know how to get more, and so it's just two very different paradigms. I forget where I'm going. I was going with that.
I think we could do a whole other podcast just on what exactly a full cup is, because you say when I give from a full cup and when I'm full, that doesn't mean you're perfectly healed. You don't have any issues. So you're not growing anymore. You are whole and complete in this life. It simply means.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just like, how do you show up? Who am I today? And can you just appreciate that for today? Not worrying about being the future is part of it. Like, I'm going to move towards that as much as I can with excellence today. And if I've got a partner, I do that together. I communicate what I'm doing, and here's how we move through life so that it can be seamless.
I think giving from a full cup or showing up with a full cup and being whole has so much more to do with peace and gratitude than it does with actually having your act together.
Oh,
You can
sure.
really be in the middle of absolute disarray, and your
Well-
life can be chaotic. We can talk about right now in our lives the craziness that we are navigating on our last weeks of 8 months of volunteering, and me finding out my father's cancer diagnosis and 6 weeks later losing him, and the whole business that we have been running for 20 years now being landed in my hands to figure out and to navigate. And our
You know, I have to say that my anxiety level was way lower before you started talking about all that.
yeah, I could go, there you go. Thank you for looking together. We're going to communicate.
Right.
You can communicate how this makes you feel.
I like looking at today. What are we going to do today?
But the reality is we got all kinds of stuff going on. It's not that our life is perfect right now. We are full, complete, content, and we have nothing else that we need or want in this world. No, but boy, I'm grateful for today. And I'm grateful for you, my love.
Me too.
I'm grateful for this world we get to create together. And the fact that when I fall on my butt and mess up, which I know I will, that I have grace enough for myself to get back up and grow from it. And you have grace enough for me and the deposits that we've put in our relationship that we're going to grow together because of it.
And when I'm dancing and being a goofball in the kitchen and I knock over our breakfast of eggs on the floor to let the dog lick it up,
5 eggs.
nobody will give
Crashed on the floor. We don't even do eggs 90% of the time. We bring them into the house, and what happens? The daggum dog eats
me. Hey,
5.
don't chew me out now. I was talking about what a sweetheart you were for not making me feel bad.
I love you.
I love you
You
too.
can spill all the eggs on the ground. I'll still love you.
Uh-oh.
Life is messy. We recognize that. But when we take those times for a little bit of gratitude and grace, it can help so much. So, again, before we get into that final recap, I want to do just a reminder for you all. I do have a survey for the podcast. We want to hear from you on what you want to hear more of, less of, how, and all of that jazz. So if you go to mamasaysnamaste.com/survey, you can take a quick survey, help us out, and we will in turn then give you a gratitude meditation done by our youngest, Juliet. It was the first meditation she did. It's super sweet.
It's really
And
good.
it's a good spoken word guided meditation for your whole family on gratitude today. So again, as you go out this week and you're thinking about those people you love in your life, think about the best thing you can do for them. And that is to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Do that in 3 ways. You show up by looking inward, looking forward, and looking together. That's right. And the more that we can do that, the more that we can celebrate how the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us. Namaste.
1, 2, 3. Up with the rising sun, already on the run. Mama says namaste. Life is a tangled mess, and you don't have to stress. Mama says namaste. 'Cause today I will stand up and be all the change that I want to see in this world. Boys and girls, you gotta have to stand up to be free. Namaste in your heart. Take a deep breath in and let's start a brand new day. With Mama says namaste.